Hello, everyone. Hello, Fiona. You win today, and Kay and David already being cheeky even before we started. Yeah, good on you, Kay. Hello, Coddy and John. Who else have I not said hello to? I think that's everyone who's chatting at the moment. Hi, everyone. I'm maybe flustered. Hey, look, this Polly. Hello, Polly. Polly's keen to see you guys. She's had a social day today. We had a group of, I hope you can see me. Is this working? My computer's doing slightly weird things, so I hope that you can hear me and see me. Hello, Nareem and the Dies. How you going? Good, excellent. Thank you, Kay. I was just about to send a little text message to make sure that that everything was working. We've had a group of winemaker friends here today for lunch, and Richard's clanking around in the glass room washing the glasses. I'm lucky to have a glass at all. See me and my groovy earrings. Thanks, Cuddy. I bought these in Bali last year, and I love them. They're supposed to look like Balinese orchids. So, hello, Peter and Karen. How are you? Hello, Craig. You're back. No Christmas parties tonight. Well done. Back for some Pinot Gris 2019. Now, I've had a bit of a disaster with the cooking side of things this afternoon, but that's okay. I have some crunchy potatoes, but I don't have any polenta. Oh, hello, Shell and Andrew. Did I say hello to Peter and Karen? I think I did. Polenta chips with pecorino and venison backstrap for you tonight. Good on you, Andrew. Every night's a Christmas party. Absolutely, Craig. Well, I'm glad you've got time to party with us anyway tonight. So my suggestion was not particularly Christmassy food-wise, but you went hard on the salt. I actually think I've gone a little bit soft on the salt. You went with the Caesar salad. Good idea, Coddy. All right, so my 2019 Pinot Gris is looking a little bit worse for wear. Hang on, where's the camera? There's the camera. Pinot Gris 2019 is what we're drinking tonight. Hope we're all in sync with that at least. Mine is cellar temperature. So it could have been a little bit colder, particularly on this slightly steamy afternoon, but I think it'll be delicious. So I'm using a Pinot glass, which I'm just noticing is slightly smudgy, but Dad's just polished it for me with his own fair hand, so I can't be too complainy. The pancakes, excellent, David. Oh, good. I'm glad that worked for you. Mine, I didn't mash my potato up enough, and I didn't have time to do the onion properly, so I basically just made crunchy potatoes, which I'm not going to show you the whole plate because the whole plate's dreadful. But I think possibly, Kay, you and I had a similar situation that my flipping didn't work very well. So I got some nice crunch, but also some squishy potato underneath. Tastes delicious. All right, excellent and salty. Good on you, David. Mine's also made from potato salad, so it's got a bit of tang to it rather than just plain potatoes. So it's potatoes with a vinaigrette and salt and pepper, and then fried up with cheese and polenta and oil and butter. Pretty delicious, even if it looks manky. All right. It is a beautiful colour, isn't it, Cotty? Almost a rosy gold. And that's a real classic character of Pinot Gris. Even white Pinot Gris often has a slight rose gold kind of character to it. The Dies is room temperature around 20 degrees. So, yeah, that's probably a little bit warm. Mine's probably not quite that warm, but probably about 16, 18 degrees. And I'd probably, if I'd had a little bit more time, I probably would have gone and grabbed myself an ice bucket and chucked it on there. But I quite like drinking this wine at room temperature, so I don't mind too much. But, yeah, absolutely, if you cool it down a couple of degrees, it'll be a bit more refreshing. Okay, you put lemon on yours. Yes, adds a bit of zest to it, I think. Potato needs that stodginess of potato is so good at this time of year, I think. I don't know why it is that I crave potato in December more than any other time. Could be all the cocktails, which I haven't really been indulging in this year. So maybe it's just, brain switch. But there's something about crunchy, salty, acidic potatoes at this time of year. It's naughty food, I think. I think. This wine smells absolutely fabulous at the temperature that I've got it at. As I said, I think it's about 18 degrees. Duck fat, Fiona. Yeah, if I'd had some duck fat, I absolutely would have gone that way. I only had olive oil and butter. So I think if you don't have duck fat, then half olive oil, half butter is really good for cooking potatoes because it allows the olive oil to get hotter without burning, and it also stops the butter from going brown. It kind of, they both together seem to create a hotter amalgam that doesn't burn, which is weird. Anyway, works well. Richard, here's the wine when you're ready for it. Is Jill coming up? I don't know. We've got Jill's a bit broken and she's down in the garden and she's having trouble with, she's done something to her leg muscle, so she finds it hard to come upstairs. So instead she's downstairs in the garden pulling out weeds. Anyway, all good. And I've still got my 3-month cough, but I feel like it's sort of getting better, but then every now and again it comes back and annoys me. So there you go. So a rosy gold color, beautiful. And on the nose, it's got that gorgeous, for me, it's definitely, it's like poached pears in white wine. So you get that sort of honey cooked pear kind of character. It also smells like baked quince, which is rather wonderful. Karen threw out your duck fat this week. It only expired in 2020. Plenty of, absolutely, Craig. What were you thinking, Karen? The wine's working well for Coddy with the anchovies and Somerville bacon. Excellent. Yum in your Caesar salad. Sounds good. I'm just still smelling mine because it smells so delicious. It's got a little bit of honey. It's got some spice to it. I just want to taste it, but I just want to keep smelling it. It's got this sort of tropical fruit character that's come on. It's like almost like fresh mangoes. It's got a tangy acid line to it. 2019. I'm trying to remember what sort of vintage 2019 was. Was it cool, Dad, or was it warm?
It was beautiful conditions until late February.
Beautiful conditions until late February when we had a heat wave. So we would have got this off the vines pretty soon into that heat wave, I would imagine, if not beforehand. So it's one of those things that being in this northern part of the peninsula where things ripen just a little bit faster than the vineyards further south is an advantage in those years, because when the heat wave comes right at the end of the season, we can pick and it'll be ripe enough without getting burnt. It means that we get a bit hot in the winery rather than the grapes getting hot on the vines. Now, what are people saying? Yeah, David, it's the wine's a year older than the duck fat. The duck fat would have been fine. And this wine's got plenty of life left in it, absolutely. The wine always gives Craig cheese plate vibes, pre or post dinner drink. Absolutely. I think that's it. That's what I was kind of thinking of when I found the potato, cheese and polenta pancake recipe, because I thought the cheesy potato character would give you a little bit more weight to what you were eating rather than just cheese and bread, which, let's face it, we do a lot of that in December as well. Here, I'm going to have a little bit of my ugly but delicious potato. Hang on. It's pretty good. Polenta gives it a bit of crunch, as well as the edges of the potatoes just being nice and crunchy. And the starchiness of the potato, as well as the cheesiness of the cheese in there, works really nicely with the flavours in this wine. But it does make your glass all smudgy and gross. Alison, just what you need, the wine or the cheese plate, or pre or post dinner drinks? I think all of the above, probably. So what can we say about this wine? So I think this is, again, a really good example of, so we're up to the 2022 Pinot Gris at the moment, selling at Cellar Door, but we were selling this 2019 fairly recently, like about 6 months ago, I think, was when we ran out. And I think that it's already showing some really nice development, but it's got some freshness as well, which I think is a nice kind of combination of the two. Craig, what's the oldest one of these you've opened? Have you seen one go off? So Dad opened a 2004 Pinot Gris a few months ago, and that was pretty delicious. Is that the oldest one that you can think of, Dad? Because we weren't making... So 2004 was when we sort of really started getting the hang of making Pinot Gris like this, kind of nice and ripe but dry. We made some Pinot Gris from this vineyard for the people who owned it, the garden vineyard that they had under their own label for a while, but they wanted a wine that was a little bit less rich and that had a little bit of residual sugar. So it was a different style of wine when we were making it to their specs. And when they decided that they didn't want to have to worry about trying to sell it to people, which is the hardest thing. If you've got nice wine, that's fine. But if you don't have a market for it, it's very difficult to deal with even quite a small batch of nice wine, because you can only drink so much on your own. I know that we give it a good nudge, this lot, but they decided that it was too much like hard work and too expensive as well, because it is quite expensive turning grapes into wine. So instead they decided that they would lease, well, we asked them and they agreed to lease the vineyard to us so that we could then make wine for ourselves the way we wanted to with Pinot Gris, which was when we started getting a bit riper, making it dry, and basically making it the same way as we make Chardonnay, which is really cool. So the 04 was pretty delicious, Craig. I think the ones that I've drunk mostly of these Pinot Gris, we had an 05 recently as well, and that was pretty yummy. Showed that to some guests. I'm not sure how much of that Dad's got floating around, but if he has a bit, then no more? Bugger all, he said. Yeah, they can't hear you, so I'll translate. Dad was just saying that we used to think these wines wouldn't age well, that they were just wines for drinking young and early. But we've discovered in recent times, and thanks to you guys, honestly, because it was really during the lockdowns when we were doing drinks with Kate that I was kind of thinking, gosh, what are we going to look at, in the next box, that I started, scrabbling through the museum in a serious way and thought, well, I should have a look at these Pinot Gris. I haven't looked at them for a while. And we discovered how well they'd aged and how delicious they were. And I think it's been a real treat to be able to explore them with food and over time with you guys. But yeah, I think bugger all is a genuine metric. Thank you, Craig. David, it's not the Osborne Vineyard. The Osborne Vineyard does have Pinot Gris. And we do get Pinot Gris from the Osborne Vineyard that goes into this wine now. But it was originally the garden vineyard that we were making Pinot Gris for them. I don't think we ever made an Osborne Pinot Gris, did we, Dad? We made Osborne Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. But the Pinot, I don't know what happened to the Pinot Gris before we started taking the fruit, but maybe it was just new vines. Did we plant those vines specifically for us? It was always there, but
when we started leasing that vineyard, and we did use it.
He's not making sense because we used to make all the Osborne wines for them, but obviously we didn't make the Osborne Pinot Gris for them. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Not Osborne, garden vineyard. So the garden vineyard has been a source of Pinot Gris for us for quite a long time. He's giving us the complicated version.
They got rid of the Cabernet and planted Pinot.
They had Cabernet, they got rid of it, they planted Pinot Gris relatively recently. So yeah, okay, Dad, that's getting boring now. So let's move on. More interesting to know what's in your cellar, actually, Dad. People want to know how much bugger all really is. Hello, Lines. How are you? It's all right, David. It's been a big day here. We're all a bit tired and grumpy. I love the 2012 Pinot Gris. I agree, Lines. And the 2012 Pinot Gris looks delicious. Yeah, I think the 19th, Rich is the voice of Christmas past. He is actually today. He sounds like a ghost over there drinking his Pinot Gris. Okay, so Shell, you want to see the Christmas tree? Here we go. It is Christmassy. Did you see Polly? Polly. No, it's on. It's on. I turned it on before. Here's the Christmas tree. Ta-da! And it has lights on it. It's a bit hard to see them. Oh yeah, you can see the blue ones coming on, blue and purple. Doing its little Christmas tree thing. It's a fibre optics tree that Mum bought many years ago, and it started to go a bit saggy around the edges, but it's still rather magnificent. It's very much a white Christmas. We have Reg on the tree in about 3 different places, and yeah, so we're starting to feel a bit like Christmas here. Hello, Polly. Polly's like, where are you going, Mum? Goodness me. Okay, still got some 2019. Oh, Pete's got his Christmas tree from the Christmas tree farm. Well done. Craig, we don't have a bottle of Nebbiolo wrapped under the Christmas tree for you, but actually Richard's just disappeared, which is a bit sad, because I was going to say he showed our little winemaker friends a little bit of Nebbiolo that he'd kept aside from the bottling the other day, and that was very exciting. Everyone was very impressed by... Dad, I was just telling them about your Nebbiolo. Craig wants to know if there's a bottle of Nebbiolo under the Christmas tree for him. You're going to have to wait a couple more years, Craig, for that, but...
It's the most exclusive, expensive wine in the world.
Yeah, the most exclusive and expensive wine in the world. And we had 8 bottles. We now have only 6. So we'll have to see if we can wheedle a bottle out of Richard for a special live drinks with Kate event next year. Maybe that'll be a pretty cool draw card, wouldn't it? If we can all get together down here sometime next year, then it might be a chance to have a look at one of those Nebbiolos. So Loans is telling you, goodness me, Leonie, you're trying to get us back to the Pinot Gris, which is very sensible. The 2013 Pinot Gris, Leonie is reminding me, is almost all gone, which is a little bit sad. But if you like the 2013 Estate Pinot Gris, now is the time to grab some, because we're honestly down to our last handful of cases, which a little while ago we had close to a pallet, and we've whittled it down. Leonie's done a great job in cellar door, showing it to people and selling it to people. So last chance to buy the 2013. We have a little bit of the 2012 as well in the museum, but we have a bit of 14 that we're going to move on to as our museum Pinot Gris going forward. This 2019, as I said before, I think this is, we absolutely used the last 3 dozen of this for this Drinks with Kate box, which is kind of fun. And it's in a really lovely place right now, I reckon. You could have it as well as with, so someone else, Peter and Karen are still browning their pancakes, snacking on cheese and onion cabana in the interim, which sounds very good. Yes, Cotty, absolutely. What are we selling now? So Alison, the current release for Pinot Gris is 2022 in Celador, but we have some 2013 out the back in the secret stash that Leonie can sort out for you if you want some. But don't wait too long for that one. How's the market going for this? Is it getting more popular? So Craig, we're still making quite small quantities of Pinot Gris annually. We have a good small market for it. Mostly people like you guys are cellar door and direct customers get it because they've done oh, poor Jill's hobbling in. You need a glass of wine perhaps, Jill. She's hobbling in for some Pinot Gris. Poor thing, she seems to be almost unable to walk, which is rather dreadful. Not a good start to the Christmas season.
I'm doing it so I don't have to do any work over Christmas.
She said she's doing it so she doesn't have to do any work over Christmas. That's very cunning. Very cunning indeed. I agree, Alison. This 2019 is absolutely delicious. So Craig, it's doing better for us in the Melbourne market than it ever has before, and that's because our distributors now have understood. So we've got new distributors since we were selling it. Jill is on the Baldrick principle. Yes, Kate. Good work, Jill. Put your feet up until mid-January, David says. Polly will help, won't you, Pol? What was I saying? Blah, blah, blah. When we were selling the 2012, 2013 and 2014, we had other distributors who were a bit shocked that we were trying to make Pinot Gris that was of the same price and quality as our Chardonnay and our Pinot Noir, and so they didn't really know how to sell it. Whereas our current distributors in Melbourne particularly are huge fans of this wine. They sell a bit of Alsace Pinot Gris as well. And up until a couple of years ago, Ian would always say to me, "Oh, Kate, it's a little bit hard to sell because it's the same price or a bit more than Alsace Pinot Gris that we sell." But that's changed in the last 2 or 3 years. All of the French wine has gone up hugely, and so it's all of a sudden, compared to the Alsace Pinot Gris, looking like very good value for money. So we're having a lot more success with the current release Pinot Gris in the market at the moment than we had up until a couple of years ago. So I think a couple of things are happening. I think that our wines, because French wine is getting so much more expensive because they've had a few small vintages and the cost of transport's expensive and all of that stuff, it makes our wine look better value for money in comparison. Also, people are understanding better what we're trying to do with Pinot Gris because I've been talking about it a lot over the last few years. I think since we started making the Pinot Gris on skins, and we had the pink Pinot Gris as well as the yellow Pinot Gris to show people, it makes it make more sense to people because they're quite different wines, but they're really good reflections of what the grape variety can do if you treat it differently. And I think people find that fascinating. So, oh God, David got an email for Grand Cru Chablis. I got a case of it in 2019 for $150. It's now $420. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Chablis and Burgundy in particular has gone up hugely, but all French wine is significantly more expensive today than it was 3 or 4 years ago, and it's getting really out of control. So it makes it difficult for those of us who are trying to make sure that we know what all the wines of the world taste like. It makes it a lot more expensive to get to taste those wines, but it also makes the local stuff seem like really good value for money. And I think that that's, everyone's just kind of, well, different people are putting up their prices at different rates. We're trying to keep our prices as reasonable as we can. We're inching them up a little bit over time, but yeah, I think it's doing an MW would be much more expensive now. Absolutely, David. Well as just sourcing the wines, the cost of sitting the exam and going to the education program's gone up a lot because of the cost of running the programs and renting space and all of that. Everything's got more expensive. So I had a conversation with a distributor in America, I think, and he was saying, restaurants are looking for wine of a similar quality but half the price. And I said, well, how can they expect that to happen? It's costing us more money to grow and make grapes than ever before, in the same way that it's costing everybody else more money to do everything in the world. So why would wine go down in price so the restaurants could make more money out of the markup because they don't feel that they can make money out of food, which was the argument that they were giving me, which is rather crazy. Okay, but people are chatting away. Kay was with a friend on the weekend who's just done an Asian railway trip, and the wines they said were fabulous, well worth it, better than the Garn. She said, oh, fabulous. Fiona, I think this Gris does have a lovely round creaminess. Thank you for bringing us back to the wine. And one of the things about this wine that I think is pretty special about the Moorooduc Estate Pinot Gris is that, as well as fermenting it in old oak, so it's a wild ferment in old oak like our Chardonnay, no new oak, but this wine also it spends sort of 6 to 8 months unsulfured post fermentation and goes through a natural malolactic conversion during that time. We like to see our Pinot Gris go through a full malolactic conversion, which gives you a bit of creaminess and richness in the mid palate. And a lot of people think that because Pinot Gris is a naturally medium acid wine, that you shouldn't put it through malo because it's going to make it too soft and too fat. And I think that certainly with our quality of fruit and the level of acidity that we get growing down here in this cool maritime region, we can get away with doing a malo and getting that lovely creaminess in the mid palate, particularly as the wine ages. David and Craig both thinking about doing your MWs, I'm sure. Andrew heard there's 400 masters of wine in the world. That is absolutely true, Shell and Andrew, about 400. There's about, I counted it just the other day, I think there's about 24 Australian Masters of Wine. And I was the third Australian woman to get my Master of Wine in 2010. So there's some numbers for you. Alison, I always thought that wine was where the profit was for restaurants. Yeah, absolutely. Wine is where the profit, well, restaurants used to, in the olden days, make money from selling food as well as drinks. But these days, and for the last probably 10, 15 years, restaurants have been saying that they can't make any money out of food. And so therefore, they have to charge more for their wine, or the wine has to come into them at a lower price so they can put a higher markup on it. Now, restaurant markups are not set in stone, but up until relatively recently in the Melbourne market, then 100% markup would be fairly normal for a restaurant. The Sydney market is more like a 200% markup, and these days it can go up to a 300% markup. I was talking to my distributor in Perth, and he reckons that most decent restaurants mark wine up by at least 200%. And I would say here in Melbourne these days, there'd be quite a lot of restaurants, particularly if they're selling wine by the glass, that would expect to make, if you're selling wine by the glass, you expect to make back the cost of the bottle once you've sold 2 glasses. So, for example, if you're selling a wine for $14 a glass, then that wine's probably cost the restaurant about $28 to buy, and that's the cost of the wine plus tax. So that's how restaurants sort of make their money with, and mixed drinks cocktails is a really good way to make money too, because there's a bit of work that goes into putting them together, but you can use relatively cheaper ingredients. The spirits you use in fairly small quantities, and the other stuff is relatively inexpensive. So cocktails are a good way and they charge a lot for cocktails. Yeah, I think a lot of restaurants don't like it when you just go in for a drink, because they probably feel like they can sell you more. Maybe they can sell you more drinks if you're eating food, often in, Shell, too soon, Shell. Coddy sort of expected wine to come down in price when China cancelled Australian wine imports. Probably did, just don't drink those wines, I guess. So, Coddy, what happened with that? For us, we weren't selling any wine in China, so it didn't really matter, except there was more competition in the market for wines that had been selling in China and then weren't anymore. But most of the wines that were going to China were much cheaper than the wines probably that you're normally drinking, and a lot of those wines got kind of just left in giant tanks in the middle of the Riverina, in the middle of, the places where lots of cheap bulk wine is made. So there's still an oversupply of those wines, but they're not wines that you would be buying and drinking generally. Jeff and Sue, you've missed all the good bits, absolutely, but lovely to see you. Glad you made it eventually. Kay's got a nice Christmas cocktail she made up, the Bush Christmas. Remind us is this from last year? Kay, can you remind us what's in the Bush Christmas? Craig's saying that you found it's times 3, 300% in Sydney. Yeah, that's pretty normal, I think, these days in Sydney. In London, it's 300 to 400%. Jeff needs to see the saggy tree. No, Jeff and Sue miss out on the saggy tree because they were too late. I'll take you to visit the tree before we sign off. Cotty went to Circle. Oh, I'm really looking forward to going to Circle because what's his name? Is it Manu, the Frenchman? No, I'm great. Thanks, Dad. Are you offering me some more wine? Mm-hmm. Oh, you want some potato? Have some potato. It's not particularly exciting, but it's crunchy and fills up your tummy a bit. It's got good flavour. It just doesn't look very pretty. So, yes, Circle, very interesting. It's a wine bar that sells food rather than a restaurant that sells wine. Wine markup about 150%. Kate, I was listed as a winemaker at Moorooduc on their wine list. That's dreadful, Connie. I will see if I can fix that. There's a lot of people. It happens mostly overseas because I do all the travel for Moorooduc. Lots of people assume that I'm the winemaker, even though I tell them that I'm not, and that Dad and Jeremy make the wine and I'm allowed to help. I get written up as the winemaker and get credit where credit is not due. So anyway, Linda, the cheesy potato thing's delish, but took longer to cook than expected. Goes well with the Gris. It did take longer. Mine's a mess, Linda. Don't worry. I didn't leave myself enough time to make it properly, and it's a mess. But is it going down all right, Jill?
I'm starved because I didn't get any lunch.
Oh, poor Jill didn't get any lunch because she was too busy feeding all of Dad's winemaker friends lunch today. So it's going down all right. There's go for the crunchy bits. There's a nice bit of tanginess to it too because it was potato salad. So it's got vinaigrette on it too. Very exciting. It goes very well with the wine. I agree. Kay, it's another ginger beer, 1-on-1 with good orange juice with 15 to 30 mils of Bundy and a good dash of grenadine. That sounds dangerous, but it could also be delicious. I have no doubt. The ginger beer and orange juice. It sounds a little bit like tequila sunrise, but with Bundy instead. Sounds pretty good. Xavier, thank you, David. Yes, absolutely. 10 minutes by tractor. Linda's having hers with coleslaw. Excellent. Yes, I will be trying to. Yeah, good. Take a screenshot of the recipe for later. I will be based on it. But ginger beer, a bit Christmassy. Yeah, absolutely, Kay. That sounds delish. Oh, yeah, ginger beer rather than ginger ale. Yeah, I read ginger ale in my brain. Love a bit of ginger beer. Bundaberg ginger beer, I hope, as well as the Bundaberg rum. It's very Aussie. That'll be good. I might give that a go too. Would you mind texting it to me as well, Kay? Because I'm multitasking. I'm talking and drinking and reading and talking. Thank you. Sounds good. Also, Kay, I was very impressed with the picture of your new car and your caravan that you sent me the other day. Looks fun. I hope everybody else has got fun plans for Christmas because it's coming up on us really quick. I'm a little bit shocked that it's a little bit less. It's a day less than 2 weeks from Christmas. Now, this time in 2 weeks, Christmas will be done, essentially. That's a bit scary, isn't it? 2 weeks from now, Christmas will be done. And we'll be getting ready for the New Year's Eve celebrations. Ridiculous. Luckily, we have 2019 Pinot Gris to get us through this week and hopefully other things to get us. Grabbing a Santa from the Santa farm. Good on you, David. Well, I think Peter got his Christmas tree from the Christmas tree farm today, so that's nice. I just think, a couple of prezzies, a couple of good bottles of wine in the fridge for Christmas, bit of yummy food. We're We've got the granddaughters coming. Well, my nieces, Jill and Richard's granddaughters, are coming down. With their parents, but the parents don't really count now that they've produced grandchildren. The grandchildren are the most important thing. They're all coming down, and we're having Christmas Eve dinner. So we're being very European this year, and then we're doing Father Christmas stockings in the morning, and then some people are going away and some people are staying here for Christmas lunch. So that'll be fun. Craig, hang on, David, I'll answer that in a minute. Craig wants to know, can we do a What's Wines Go with Christmas standard session? Sure. We'll have to do that next week, Craig. Like now, Alison. Well, look, Moorooduc Estate wines go very well with Christmas, I think. You deserve that. I'll give you an idea of what the McIntyre family tend to do for Christmas. And as we're doing Christmas Eve dinner rather than Christmas lunch, was the photo in the email link a bit Ray Gunnish? Asks Jeff. No, that was just me walking funny, Sue and Jeff. Thank you. Cheap wines, not expensive ones, Craig wants. Oh, okay. Alison, no, this isn't the last. We've got another tasting next Thursday, which could be interesting because we have our staff Christmas party on Thursday, don't we, Jill? So I might be a little bit squiffy. But yes, no, we're tasting I remember what we're tasting. We're tasting the 2013 Estate Chardonnay for our final tasting together. And then there's another bottle of wine in your box for you to drink on Christmas Day, which is the 2018 Robinson Pinot, which will be delicious, with some popcorn. Admin alert, Adelaide, the 17th. Shell needs to be, well, hang on. Adelaide, I may need to be overseas for work in March, so I want to put in the PTO ASAP. It's okay, Adelaide. Adelaide trip is going to be in May, not in March, because in March I will be doing lots of winemaking because it will be vintage time. I thought I had sent you the dates for Adelaide, but I will send them again. They will be the sort of last week of May. Cotty and John are lunching at Katarina's, which is fantastic, because Katarina's, as a lot of you may know, has been closed because they got flooded about 6 months ago, and they've just reopened in time for Christmas. So good on you, Cotty and John. Please say hello to Kat. Message drinks with Kate sounds like a challenge. Yeah, Fiona, don't worry. We've done it before. We'll do it again. We'll get there. Alison's My Under the Tree wine might have gone straight into the rack. What was that? It was the 2018 Robinson Pinot, Alison. And you don't have to drink it on Christmas Day, but it's just an added extra in that box that we won't be doing together with Drinks with Kate. So you can drink it on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or whenever. So, excuse me, Craig wants some cheap Christmas drinking recommendations. So I won't tell you what the McIntyres are drinking because we don't drink cheap wine. You all right, Paul? Oh, she's just getting comfortable. Kate, I did, Kate. Oh, thank you, Kate. 22nd of May through to Monday, the 26th of May, 2025 is the trip to Adelaide. We'll do Drinks with Kate on the evening of May the 22nd. That'll be the start of the trip, and have some dinner somewhere, maybe at one of the delicious Chinese restaurants in Adelaide. And then we're going to tootle around on the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and finish up on the 26th. So that'll be good. So get that in the diary, Shell. Polly's decided that she's had enough of Drinks with Kate tonight. Paul. So, Craig, I would recommend some Campari spritz for Christmas, a succulent Chinese meal. Polly, Polly. Woo! What? She's being silly, aren't you? She's getting excited about Christmas. Yes, Peter, we'll have a succulent Chinese meal. Absolutely. Karen, we don't need it. Maybe I have to select this year. Exactly, Karen. I think there'll be some nice things in your cellar for sure for Christmas. So a nice little glass of champagne is very important. If you want to go sort of, easy breezy, summery, then a prosecco based Campari spritz or Aperol spritz or limoncello spritz or something like that is a nice way to have a few drinkies and make a little Christmas punch. So Noreen wants to know what we drink on Christmas that's not duck. We will have champagne for sure. We won't have Krug probably because it's got very expensive and I have access to some other champagnes that I like. So we'll probably have something nice for champagne. I haven't really decided. I'll have a look and see what I've got. We will probably drink some German or Alsace Riesling and Gewürztraminer because I love Gewürztraminer and my sister Beck loves Gewürztraminer as well. So we usually have a really nice, and we've got a nice bottle of Gewürztraminer from Alsace in the wine fridge waiting for Christmas that I bought from a friend. We will definitely have some Moorooduc wine, probably some Moorooduc Pinot because my brother-in-law really only likes Moorooduc Pinot of all of the wines. And so we always make sure that we have some nice Moorooduc Pinot, but we like to have that as well. After dinner on Christmas Eve, we'll be having eggnog. I've got a recipe for chilled eggnog that came from Gourmet Traveller many years ago, and I've made it for Christmas every year. It's rather delicious. It's got rum and whiskey and brandy in it. So it's a good way and it's got lots of cream and milk and whipped eggs and sugar and things in it. It's rather delicious, very fluffy. And yeah, so we'll have a few different things and depending on what we're eating, because I think we're having roast chicken as the main course because everybody likes chicken here and lots of vegetables because we've got a vegetarian in the family. We tend not to do the turkey or the ham. We'll be having some seafood. We'll be having some salmon gravlax that I'm making, which will be yum. So yeah, we'll need to have some sort of tangy white wines to go with the gravlax and any other seafood we have. And then some either full-bodied white wines or lighter red wines to go with the chicken and vegetables and things for main course. And then by the time we've got through all of that, then we'll probably collapse into a glass of eggnog after dessert. Jill's making her famous Christmas pudding ice cream and some strawberry ice cream. So I think we'll do quite well. We only have a ducking Christmas. I reckon we'll have a duck Christmas too. Good work, Alison. I think some special saying no to oysters. Yes, sure. A boozy harbour cruise with tourist friends in Sydney on Christmas Day. That'll be fun. That'll be very fun. Fiona and Peter and Karen, Gewürztraminer. We'll put that on the list of having a Gewürz. Oh, Craig, you got there before me. A Gewürz guest wine next year. The one that we've got in the fridge is a bit expensive, but it's one I bought a little while ago. And the trick with Gewürz is that you've just got to get over the fact that it smells like it's going to be sweet, but that it's actually dry. It's a bit confusing for a lot of people. David, John wants to know if there's any good Gewürz grown on the peninsula. Well, I was going to say absolutely not, John, but that's not quite true because our friend Barney Flanders makes a Skinsey Gewürz, which I think we tasted together in 2020 as a guest wine a long, long, long time ago. But that's a slightly challenging Gewürz. So I would say if we're going to do Gewürz together, then I would like to get you guys tasting a really good, doesn't have to be expensive, but it'll be a good Gewürztraminer from Alsace because I don't think there's really anyone doing great Gewürztraminer in Australia Delatite's one of the best. Delatite Dead Man Hill Gewurz is a winner, Nareem. But I think that to really understand it, you've got to go back to the source, because Gewürztraminer is a bit like Pinot Gris, that a lot of people who grow it here worry because it loses quite a lot of acidity when it gets fully ripe. And so you get this kind of really floral, intensely aromatic wine that has medium acidity and sort of phenolic kind of texture, but is often completely dry. So it's very confusing. You smell it and it smells like roses and lychees and Turkish delight, and then you put it in your mouth and it's quite dry and often quite full-bodied and medium acid. So yeah, it'd be quite fun. So we'll do something next year anyway. David, you had a JJ Prum at lunch for Fiona's birthday. Nice. Yum. That's good little, that's a nice little Riesling from Germany. That would be delicious. So yeah, lots of things for us to still discuss. Polly is saying that she thinks it's time for us to finish talking, and we have been talking for 45 minutes now, so she's probably right that it is time to finish up. I know, Shell, love you all as well. We have got 1 week to go for 2024, so hopefully I'll have you all here en masse next week. I will come up with something very, Jill's been making poor jokes. I will think of something suitably Christmassy, but not too much work for food matching next week. And we will enjoy that lovely 2013 Chardonnay together. And I will make sure that I keep myself nice and tidy at the staff Christmas party, so I can be nice and tidy for you guys. You can definitely have popcorn next week. I think that's not a bad idea, Craig. I'll send through a couple of suggestions of how to zhuzh up your popcorn, and I might give you another option, but I think popcorn's a really good idea, Craig. Connie and John, if you don't make it next week, happy Christmas to you as well, and have a fabulous new year. Oh, I should tell you guys as well that if you're thinking about coming down to Celador, we're open most of the time. I will be sending out an email with our closing hours, over Christmas, but it'll be Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day that we're closed, and then we're open again, and then we're closed on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, because nobody wants to come tasting wine on those days. Much too busy doing other things. So your tree looks and smells great, in case we're wondering. Thank you, Peter. We were all wondering desperately. Kay and Peter and Karen and everybody, have a beautiful Christmas. I'm taking you over to look at the floppy tree again. It's got a little bit darker in the house. So, Polly's got a ball for me. So you can see the beautiful floppy tree. The ends of the branches have gone a bit floppy now, but it's still very Christmassy and very white and sparkly. And you'll notice that we've got a peacock right in the middle. Can you see the peacock? He's that purpley blue splodge just, oh God, I can't do that. There. There. I can't do it. We don't have any smell in this tree, but it sparkles beautifully for Christmas. All right, guys, love you lots. I'll have a lovely week, and I'll see you next week if you can make it. And if you don't make it next week, I'll see you next year. But have a fabulous Christmas and take care. Bye. Oh.